Are you ready to master the backbone of modern DevOps? Container orchestration is the most in-demand skill in the tech industry right now. But passing the certification isn't just about knowing the commands. It's about understanding the architecture. In this video, we will cover DevOps Container Orchestration certification practice questions and detailed explanations. Prepare for your DevOps Container Orchestration certification with this ultimate practice test. In this video, we dive deep into 30 comprehensive practice questions designed to mirror the actual exam environment for DevOps Container Orchestration. We cover everything from scheduling and networking to security and persistent storage. Before we begin, make sure to grab a notepad. And don't forget to subscribe for more high-quality DevOps certification content. Which component in the Kubernetes control plane is responsible for maintaining the desired state of the cluster by reacting to changes? Option A, Kube Apiserver. Option B, etcd. Option C, Kube Controller Manager. Option D, Kube Scheduler. The correct answer is C. The Kube Controller Manager is a daemon that embeds the core control loops shipped with Kubernetes. In applications of robotics and automation, a control loop is a non-terminating loop that regulates the state of the system. In Kubernetes, the Controller Manager watches the shared state of the cluster through the Apiserver and makes changes attempting to move the current state towards the desired state. Examples include the Replication Controller, Endpoints Controller, and Namespace Controller. A developer wants to ensure that a specific pod only runs on nodes with an SSD. Which feature should be used to achieve this constraint? Option A, taints and tolerations. Option B, node affinity. Option C, resource quotas. Option D, limit ranges. The correct answer is B. Node affinity is a set of rules used by the scheduler to determine where a pod can be placed. It allows you to specify labels on nodes and then define rules in the pod specification that match those labels. Unlike taints, which repel pods, affinity actively attracts pods to specific nodes. Required during scheduling, ignored during execution, is the strict version used to ensure the pod never runs on a non-SSD node. What is the primary function of a Kubernetes service object of type cluster IP? Option A, to expose the application to the external internet via a load balancer. Option B, to provide a stable internal IP address for a set of pods. Option C, to map a port on the node to the pod. Option D, to manage DNS records for external domains. The correct answer is B. Cluster IP is the default Kubernetes service type. It allocates a unique virtual IP address within the cluster. This allows other applications inside the cluster to communicate with the pods behind the service without needing to know the individual pod IP addresses, which are ephemeral and change whenever a pod is recreated. In a stateful set, what happens to the persistent volume claim, PVC, when a pod is deleted? Option A, the PVC is automatically deleted to save space. Option B, the PVC is detached and its data is wiped. Option C, the PVC persists and remains associated with the storage. Option D, the PVC is moved to the pending state until the pod is manually recreated. The correct answer is C. One of the core design philosophies of stateful sets is the preservation of data. When a pod belonging to a stateful set is deleted or scaled down, the associated persistent volume claims are not automatically deleted. This ensures that if the pod is rescheduled, it can reconnect to its previous state and data, maintaining consistency for databases or legacy applications. Which mechanism is used to restrict the communication between pods within a Kubernetes cluster? Option A. Role-based access control, RBAC. Option B. Network policies. Option C. Admission controllers. Option D. Secrets. The correct answer is B. Network policies are an application-centric construct which allow you to specify how a pod is allowed to communicate with various network entities over the network. It acts like a firewall for pods. While RBAC controls API access, network policies control IP-level traffic. Layer 3 or 4. You need a network plugin, like Calico or Cilium, that supports network policy for these rules to be enforced. In Docker Swarm, which command is used to scale a service to 5 replicas? Option A. Docker service update, replicas 5 less than service _name greater than. Option B. Docker container scale 5 less than service _name greater than. Option C. Docker swarm scale, count 5 less than service _name greater than. Option D. Docker service scale 5 less than service _name greater than. The correct answer is A. In Docker Swarm, the Docker service update command is the standard way to modify the configuration of an existing service, including the number of replicas, while Docker service scale also exists as a shortcut in newer versions. Update replicas is the fundamental method described in official documentation for managing service state. Which controller ensures that all, or some, nodes run a copy of a pod? Option A. Deployment. Option B. Replica set. Option C. Daemon set. Option D. Job. The correct answer is C. A daemon set ensures that all, or a specific subset of, nodes run a copy of a pod. As nodes are added to the cluster, pods are added to them. As nodes are removed from the cluster, those pods are garbage collected. Typical uses for a daemon set include running cluster storage daemons, like Glustered, logs collection daemons, like Fluented, or node monitoring daemons. Which component is responsible for maintaining network rules on nodes and performing connection? Forwarding? Option A. Kubelet. Option B. Kube proxy. Option C. Container runtime. Option D. Cloud controller manager. The correct answer is B. Kube proxy is a network proxy that runs on each node in your cluster. It maintains network rules on nodes. These network rules allow network communication to your pods from network sessions inside or outside of your cluster. It essentially manages the translation of service VIPs to pod IPs using IP tables or IPVS. How should sensitive information like passwords and API keys be stored in Kubernetes? Option A. Config maps. Option B. Environment variables in deployment YAML. Option C. Secrets. Option D. In the Docker image. The correct answer is C. Kubernetes secrets are objects that let you store and manage sensitive information, such as passwords, OAuth tokens, and SSH keys. Storing confidential information in a secret is safer and more flexible than putting it verbatim in a pod definition or in a container image. Secrets are base 64 encoded by default, but should be combined with encryption at rest for true security. If a pod is stuck in crash loop backoff, what is the most likely cause? Option A. The scheduler cannot find a node for the pod. Option B. The container image is too large to pull. Option C. The application inside the container is exiting or crashing immediately after start. Option D. The node has run out of CPU resources. The correct answer is C. Crash loop backoff means that the pod is starting, crashing, and then Kubernetes is waiting, backing off, before trying to start it again. This indicates that the pod was successfully scheduled and the image was pulled, but the application process failed. Common causes include missing environment variables, incorrect file paths, or application bugs. Which of the following is the smallest deployable unit in Kubernetes? Option A. Container. Option B. Pod. Option C. Service. Option D. Node. The correct answer is B. A pod is the smallest and simplest unit in the Kubernetes object model that you create or deploy. A pod represents a single instance of a running process in your cluster. Pods contain one or more containers, such as Docker containers. When a pod runs multiple containers, the containers are managed as a single entity and share the pod's resources. In a Kubernetes ingress resource, what is the purpose of the annotations field? Option A. To define the IP address of the load balancer. Option B. To configure specific features of the ingress controller, e.g., SSL redirection, rewrite targets. Option C. To list the backend services. Option D. To define the TLS certificate secret name. The correct answer is B. Since the ingress resource is a generic abstraction, different ingress controllers, like Nginx, Traefik, or HA proxy, require specific configuration details. Annotations are used to pass these provider-specific settings to the controller. For example, nginx.ingress.kubernetes.io/rewrite-target single quote tells an Nginx controller how to rewrite the URI. What is the role of a manager node in a Docker Swarm cluster? Option A. Only to run application containers. Option B. To maintain the cluster state and schedule services. Option C. To provide a local registry for worker nodes. Option D. To act as a firewall for the cluster. The correct answer is B. Manager nodes handle cluster management tasks, maintaining cluster state, scheduling services, and serving swarm mode HTTP API endpoints. While managers can run tasks, containers, their primary responsibility is orchestration. Worker nodes, on the other hand, are dedicated solely to executing the containers assigned to them. What does a taint on a node do? Option A. It labels the node for monitoring. Option B. It allows a node to repel a set of pods. Option C. It forces pods to be scheduled on that node. Option D. It increases the priority of the node. The correct answer is B. Taints allow a node to repel a set of pods. Taints and tolerations work together to ensure that pods are not scheduled onto inappropriate nodes. One or more taints are applied to a node. This marks that the node should not accept any pods that do not tolerate the taints. Which Kubernetes resource is best suited for running a database like MySQL? Option A, deployment. Option B, stateful set. Option C, daemon set. Option D, replica set. The correct answer is B. Stateful set is the workload API object used to manage stateful applications. It manages the deployment and scaling of a set of pods, and provides guarantees about the ordering and uniqueness of these pods. Unlike a deployment, a stateful set maintains a sticky identity for each of their pods, which is critical for databases that require stable network IDs and persistent storage. What is the difference between a persistent volume, PV, and a persistent volume claim, PVC? Option A. PV is the request. PVC is the actual storage. Option B. PV is the storage resource. PVC is a request for that resource. Option C. There is no difference. They are interchangeable. Option D. PV is for cloud storage. PVC is for local storage. The correct answer is B. A persistent volume, PV, is a piece of storage in the cluster that has been provisioned by an administrator or dynamically provisioned using storage classes. A persistent volume claim, PVC, is a request for storage by a user. It is similar to a pod. Pods consume node resources and PVCs consume PV resources. What is the purpose of RBAC in container orchestration? Option A. To encrypt data in transit. Option B. To regulate access to computer or network resources based on the roles of individual users. Option C. To scan images for vulnerabilities. Option D. To manage container resource limits. The correct answer is B. Role-based access control, RBAC, is a method of regulating access to computer or network resources based on the roles of individual users within an enterprise. In Kubernetes, RBAC uses the rbac.authorization.k8s.io API group to drive authorization decisions, allowing you to dynamically configure policies through the Kubernetes API. Which command is used to see the logs of a container in a pod? Option A. kubectl get logs less than pod underscore name greater than. Option B. kubectl view logs less than pod underscore name greater than. Option C. kubectl logs less than pod underscore name greater than. Option D. kubectl describe logs less than pod underscore name greater than. The correct answer is C. The kubectl logs command is the standard way to retrieve logs from a container in a pod. If the pod has multiple containers, you must specify the container name using the C flag. It is one of the most essential commands for debugging running applications. What is the etcd in a Kubernetes cluster? Option A. A container runtime. Option B. A distributed key value store used for cluster data. Option C. A load balancer. Option D. A logging service. The correct answer is B. etcd is a consistent and highly available key value store used as Kubernetes backing store for all Cluster data. If your Kubernetes cluster uses etcd as its backing store, make sure you have a backup plan for those data. It holds the source of truth for the entire cluster state. Which format is primarily used to define Kubernetes objects? Option A, JSON. Option B, XML. Option C, YAML. Option D, CSV. The correct answer is C. While the Kubernetes API also accepts JSON, YAML is the preferred and most common format for defining configuration files. Manifests. YAML is more human-readable and allows for comments, making it ideal for managing complex infrastructure as code. What does a headless service do in Kubernetes? Option A. It provides a load balancer IP but no DNS. Option B. It allows access to pods directly via DNSA records without a cluster IP. Option C. It is a service without any selectors. Option D. It redirects traffic to an external domain. The correct answer is B. Sometimes you don't need load balancing and a single service IP. In this case, you can create what are called headless services by specifying none for the cluster IP. Spec cluster IP. For such services, a cluster IP is not allocated, and the DNS server returns multiple A records, the IPs of the individual pods, for the service name. A pod is in pending state. What is the most common reason? Option A. The container crashed. Option B. Insufficient CPU or memory on available nodes. Option C. The service is not correctly configured. Option D. The readiness probe failed. The correct answer is B. A pod stays in pending if it cannot be scheduled onto a node. The most frequent reason is that the resource requests, CPU or RAM, defined in the pod spec exceed the available capacity of any single node in the cluster. Other reasons include node taints that the pod doesn't tolerate. What is the purpose of a job resource? Option A. To run a background process indefinitely. Option B. To run a process to completion and then stop. Option C. To manage scaling of web servers. Option D. To monitor node health. The correct answer is B. A job creates one or more pods and ensures that a specified number of them successfully terminate. As pods successfully complete, the job tracks the successful completions. When a specified number of successful completions is reached, the task, job, is complete. This is ideal for batch processing or data migration. What is the command to initialize a Docker swarm? Option A. Docker swarm start. Option B. Docker swarm init. Option C. Docker node init. Option D. Docker cluster create. The correct answer is B. To turn a single Docker engine into a swarm manager, you run Docker swarm init. This command generates the necessary tokens for worker and other manager nodes to join the cluster, and sets up the internal Raft store for cluster state management. What is a service account used for in Kubernetes? Option A. To manage billing for the cloud provider. Option B. To provide an identity for processes that run in a pod. Option C. To create usernames for human developers. Option D. To manage SSH keys for nodes. The correct answer is B. When you, a human, access the cluster, for example, using kubectl, you are authenticated by the API server as a particular user account. Processes in containers inside pods can also contact the API server. When they do, they are authenticated as a particular service account. For example, default. What is the function of the kubelet? Option A. To schedule pods to nodes. Option B. To ensure that containers are running in a pod on a specific node. Option C. To manage the API server. Option D. To store the cluster configuration. The correct answer is B. The kubelet is the primary node agent that runs on each node. It works based on a pod spec. The kubelet takes a set of pod specs that are provided through various mechanisms and ensures that the containers described in those pod specs are running and healthy. It does not manage containers which were not created by Kubernetes. What is core DNS in the context of Kubernetes? Option A. A physical router for the data center. Option B. A cluster-wide DNS server that provides service discovery. Option C. A database for storing DNS records. Option D. A tool for managing external domain names. The correct answer is B. Core DNS is a flexible, extensible DNS server that can serve as the Kubernetes cluster DNS. Since Kubernetes 1.13, it has been the default DNS provider. It allows pods to resolve services by name, e.g., my-service.my namespace.svc, cluster, local, instead of using hard-coded IP addresses. Which deployment strategy replaces old pods with new ones one by one? Option A. Recreate. Option B. Blue, green. Option C. Rolling update. Option D. Canary. The correct answer is C. Rolling update is the default deployment strategy in Kubernetes. It updates a set of pods in a rolling fashion, ensuring that a minimum number of pods are available at all times. This prevents downtime during the update process. The alternative, recreate, strategy kills all existing pods before starting new ones. What is a sidecar container? Option A. The main application container. Option B. A helper container that runs alongside the main container in a pod. Option C. A container used only for testing. Option D. A container that runs on the master node. The correct answer is B. A sidecar is a design pattern where a secondary container, the sidecar, is added to a pod to extend or enhance the functionality of the main application container. Common examples include log shippers, monitoring agents, or proxies for service mesh, like Envoy and Istio. In Kubernetes, what does namespace provide? Option A. A way to divide cluster resources between multiple users. Option B. A physical separation of nodes. Option C. A method to encrypt network traffic. Option D. A storage location for container images. The correct answer is A. Namespaces are intended for use in environments with many users spread across multiple teams or projects. They provide a scope for names and a way to divide cluster resources via resource quotas. It is a logical partition rather than a physical one. That concludes our 30-question practice run for the DevOps Container Orchestration certification. How many did you get right? If you struggled with the networking or scheduling sections, make sure to review the official documentation for those specific components. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel produce more of these free educational guides. For the full-length practice exam and detailed study guides, check the link in the description below.